Coronavirus is once again dominating the national spotlight after an outbreak at the White House, including President Trump testing positive. We're joined now by Dr. Ali Hassoun, infectious disease specialist at Huntsville Hospital, to take a deeper look at the situation in our nation's capital and right here in North Alabama. Thanks again for joining us, Dr. Hassoun.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We talked to you last week, right after the president was first diagnosed and received this antibody cocktail developed by Regeneron. The president said it made him feel better immediately, but we also know he also received 5 doses, the first of 5 doses anyway, of remdesivir just hours after taking that Regeneron antibody cocktail. The president couldn't say enough about the effectiveness of that treatment. So if this cocktail is so effective, then why would he need remdesivir on top of that? And is there a risk of mixing those two?
So I can tell you it'll be very difficult to know which medication have worked, because the standard or the usual treatment that we use in the hospital, usually it's remdesivir and steroid. We have not used the Regeneron medication. It's going to be extremely difficult to judge that the Regeneron have worked in compared to if the remdesivir with the dexamethasone have done it. You know, as a treatment, in general, we try to avoid any experimental phase 1, phase 2, but he did get it under the compassionate, you know, care
right.
Kind of treatment. And for us, we usually don't use that. I think remdesivir and dexamethasone might have done it. It is going to be very difficult to differentiate.
Now, you said last week that the president wasn't receiving these treatments that are available to everyone. You just mentioned that again. Now, President Trump says both Eli Lilly and Regeneron will get emergency use authorizations for their therapeutics. Both pharmaceutical companies have already submitted those requests to the FDA, we're told. How big a step is this now in the search for a treatment?
I think it will be an important addition as a treatment. But I'd really like to see, you know, these are phase 1, phase 2 data. We have not seen any phase 3 data because the company has not enrolled yet, that from what we've known and what they publish on their website. And really to use it in our patient under the FDA emergency use authorization, we really want a larger number of people enrolled and compare it to the usual standard of care and see if it's safe, is it efficacious, how long it make a difference. Because the only phase 1, phase 2 data, they had about 275 patients and they divide them into 3 groups. So not all of them received the medicine and not all of them received the same dose. So it's really very hard to judge at the moment. We really need more patient-enrolled phase 3 to judge on this specific treatment.
You mentioned safety, efficacy, and on that note, during the vice presidential debate last night, Senator Kamala Harris said she would not take a coronavirus vaccine if the president said it was safe. There might be some partisan politics involved in there. Vice President Pence said that was irresponsible. Nearly half of Americans, though, said they would not get a vaccine even if it was available. So what is your take on all that?
My usual practice and applications in everyday life when I treat patients, I follow exactly what's data has been published and what's been recommended, and is it safe, is it good enough number of patients. These are what we look at and decide, is it going to be efficacious and safe. And that's what's important. Science and data that's good enough, randomized, is very important to say yes, it's going to be a safe vaccine or not.
Now, when we talked to you last week, you said you wouldn't treat a 74-year-old overweight man the same way the president was treated. Can you walk us through your reasoning and your opinion on the president's current condition after leaving the hospital so quickly?
Yeah, so the main thing that comes up initially is how many different medication he'd been given initially, including, for example, famotidine, which is a reflux medicine. And I must say, from the data that's initially published, it did not show benefit or significant effect, and it needed much higher doses there. Our main concern usually, we want to use effective medication, but we want to minimize the number of these medications because there's always, between treatment, there is interactions. And as you get interactions and issues between these medications, you can get more side effects. You can get toxicity. You might affect the treatment benefit. And that's why we want to focus on which has been shown potential benefit and we go for it rather than we use everything and hope for the best.
Real quickly, doctors earlier this week said the president was not out of the woods yet. When, in your opinion, is he out of the woods if he was diagnosed, say, last Thursday night?
Yeah, I mean, now it's almost a week or a little bit more. I think the next few days, if he continued to do well as he's done, I think he should be okay, because usually after developing pneumonia, and it seems probably he had it because they gave him the dexamethasone and remdesivir, it's usually another week from receiving that, as long as he continue without needing oxygen, fever is gone. These are all very good signs that he's recovering from this and he's going to do good.
All right,